Hey everybody, today we're going to do a really quick tutorial on one of the most famous diminished lines that has ever been played. So this line was played by the likes of John Coltrane and Michael Brecker, and just about every other modern musician has used this in their solos in some way. So don't be surprised if this sounds extremely familiar to you. We're going to talk about a couple of ways that you can use this in your own solos. So step one, what we need to do is we need to form what I call a diminished dominant scale. And all that is a half whole octatonic scale. It looks and sounds like this. So as I said, all that is that's a scale made up of half steps followed by whole steps all the way through an octave. That ends up being an 8-note scale. Now you would play this over a dominant 7 flat 9 chord, usually a 5 chord going to 1, but you can use this in other places. Generally look for dominant chords, and that's where you want to actually utilize this scale and these licks that I'm about to show you. Okay, step 2, we need to pull all of the whole step relationships out of this scale. So there's 8 notes in the scale. If we're going half step, whole step, half step, whole step, we get 4 whole step relationships. So I've gone through and I've color coded all of those whole steps so that you can see exactly where they occur. So the famous Coltrane line, and the way that we're going to take that famous Coltrane line and be able to flip it into our own language using this device, is we're literally just going to take those whole steps and we're going to shift them around in every way possible. Let's listen to what Coltrane did first so you can get an idea of the basis of where I'm coming from for this line. So basically what he's doing in this line is he's playing that whole step relationship, jumping up to the next group of whole steps, then jumping down 2 groups of whole steps and repeating that pattern over and over and over again as he works his way down the instrument and down in register. So let's take these whole steps and let's organize them in a different fashion. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 groups of the whole steps, play down, and then I'm going to jump up 1 group and work my way down the horn like that. So this is more of a 4-note grouping as I work down. It sounds like this. So now let's try an ascending line with these whole steps. So I'm starting with 1 grouping, going up a whole step, and then I'm jumping up 2 groupings, moving down a whole step, and then continuing that pattern as I work my way up the instrument. Sounds like this. Now in this next pattern, I'm doing a bit of both. I'm doing a descending followed by an ascending, but in general, I'm working my way up the instrument. It's an ascending line. This one's a little bit more confusing, but just try to focus on the whole steps and how I'm just using groupings of whole steps to get through this line. Sounds like this. And in the final one that I want to show you guys today, this one's kind of interesting because it has a wider interval in between those whole steps. It sounds like this. Now, hopefully you're starting to realize that you've heard this sound like a million times before, right? This should sound pretty familiar if you listen to any kind of post-Coltrane music. People love this device. But the moral of the story here is to take those 4 groupings of whole steps and try to organize them in whatever way you feel like sounds good. And this is really typical of devices in jazz. It's a very simple concept that's going to take you a long time to flesh out and really figure out all the different possibilities and all the different sounds you can get from this particular grouping of tones. Now, the other really nice thing about this is it's based off of a diminished scale, so there are actually only 3 of those. So this makes it not as crazy to work on. If you're working on 1 key, you are really actually working on 4 different keys, which is kind of nice. We don't always get that in jazz. So this was meant to be just a really quick and dirty overview of how you can take whole steps out of the diminished scale and actually organize them into this classic jazz lick that we hear on so many different recordings. If you have any questions, make sure you let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please make sure that you like and subscribe and turn on notifications and all that good stuff so you can get more content just like this. Okay, that's gonna about do it. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon with another video. Bye.